Hi, I'm Davy. I'm awesome. Welcome to Davy's Awesome Wrestling, where I review wrestling-related things, all from the perspective of a fan, not an insider. So this week we had two big wrestling events. One was King and Queen of the Ring from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. I'll get to that next week. I only have time to do one a week. We also had, live from the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, the fifth AEW Double or Nothing, the event that started it all. Let's get into it. The opening match, which I was like, dang, let's make this the opener, for the AEW International Championship, Will Ospreay versus Roderick Strong. Like I said, this was a great way to start the event. I honestly always feel like the opener and the closer are the two most important matches. I'm going to start things with Will Ospreay. Awesome. Not to mention Will Ospreay versus Roderick Strong. One of those kind of matches that we're like, yeah, we want to see this. And, of course, the Kingdom was down there with Roderick Strong. And, of course, they got involved. But after Wardlow specifically got involved, Kingdom got banned from ringside. And, of course, there was the drama of Will Ospreay's last big match with Bryan Danielson. He had used the Tiger Driver 91. Bryan Danielson looked really hurt. He had said he was retiring it. And he came very close to breaking that and doing the Tiger Driver 91 onto Roderick Strong. But changed his mind. Then after a Hidden Blade, followed by a Stormbreaker, Will Ospreay gets the pin, the win, and is the new AEW International Champion. Which I will say that with the hot signing he's been, I'm glad they didn't immediately push him towards the World Championship. Let him start at the bottom and then work his way up, Maybe win the TNT Championship somewhere in there before he gets the world title. I don't know, but either way, this was, like I said, a fantastic way to open it with fantastic results, fantastic drama, fantastic wrestling. Give it a 5 out of 5. Yee! Then, impromptu, Adam Cole came out, which at first seemed like, what's the point of you coming out here? Just to come out and insult Nevada, in my opinion, mostly by calling it Nevada. It's Nevada. But then we found the point of it. It was to mark the return of MJF, who came out, kicked Adam Cole in the cherries, and then did a promo about how he's back and he's going to be hated. So basically the MJF we all loved. Then we finally get to the second match for the Unified Trios Championships. Because as we know, the Bang Bang Gang, Bullet Club Gold, whatever we're calling them right now, has both the Ring of Honor and AEW Trios Championships. And it was Death Triangle challenging Bullet Club Gold. Bang Bang Gang. Well, I don't know what we're calling them. Now here's the thing. I'm not usually into these Trios Championship matches. I'm just not, I don't really see the point of six-man tag team champions. But this one was really good. Very fast-paced, as we would expect from these six competitors. And it was going just kind of how we expected it until we had the return of Juice Robinson, who came out, interfered, knocked down Pac, allowing Jay White to get the switchblade onto Pac, get the pin, and for the Bang Bang Gang to retain the Unified Trios Championships. So like I said, it was a good match. It actually got my attention, kept me invested, which is not very common with these trios matches. So I will give it a 4 out of 5. And then for the AEW Women's World Championship, Serena Deeb challenges Timeless Toni Storm. It was really good as expected. At one point, Deeb was really focusing on Timeless Toni Storm's leg and then had her in the half crab. And it looked like Mariah May was going to throw in the towel for Toni Storm, like Toni Storm had done for her. I don't know why they still do this in wrestling, but whatever. But it was Luther that stopped her. Although, afterwards, Toni Storm got out of the crab, saw Luther with the towel, and he was the one that was going to try and throw it in. Poor Luther. And she threw the towel into the audience. Then after some more back and forth and 2 consecutive Storm drivers, Timeless Toni Storm picked up the win, retaining her AEW Women's World Championship. And I'm happy about that. Because as much as I like Serena Deeb, I don't know, I just don't see her as the champion. Not right now. Especially with her coming back on this comeback trail and everybody's behind her. If she's gonna eventually be the champion, I see her as that heel champion that's everybody's hating because she's so good in beating everybody. Not this, I came back from life-threatening injury and now I'm gonna fulfill my dream. That just doesn't seem her. This match, I wouldn't say was good enough to get a 4, but very close. Solid 3 out of 5. Then, a straight-up wrestling match, as they called it, Trent Beretta versus Orange Cassidy. So we know Trent Beretta and Orange Cassidy have been feuding ever since Trent Beretta left Best Friends. It was a good match, of course. Trent was brutal, like when he did a Gotch-style pile driver onto the apron. But Cassidy had an answer for everything, even as Trent Beretta was about to do the Go-Go Plata and got rolled up and pinned, making Orange Cassidy the winner of this feud, if it's even over, which I doubt. Because after the match, Trent Beretta is walking out, very upset. For some reason, they tried to do an interview at this moment, and he said no, he's done, and left through the crowd. As this filming, have no idea what's going on in there. We'll see. But another solid 3 out of 5. Yeah! Then a triple threat for the FTW Championship, which I guess now means for the world. That's not really what it means. And the challengers Hook and Katsuyori Shibata versus the Learning Tree Chris Jericho. This match was crazy but entertaining. As we remember in the last one-on-one match between Katsuyori Shibata and Chris Jericho over the FTW title, Katsuyori Shibata brought out a bag that was not filled with thumbtacks, but rather hockey pucks. Which I had nothing against. Getting slammed onto hockey pucks would probably hurt like a... well... bitch! Yeah. But Chris Jericho had his own answer to that. We've seen these bags filled with thumbtacks. We've seen them with Legos. We've now seen them filled with hockey pucks. But what did Chris Jericho have in his bag? Dice. Which again, I'm not going to say nothing to. I imagine that would hurt really bad. But for crying out loud, one of you think outside the box and let's get the most devious thing they could put on the mat. Plastic spoons! Of course, at some point, one of the guys under the Learning Tree, Big Bill, came out and started helping Chris Jericho, but Hook took care of him. So in a last trick, we had a masked man come out. And this masked man took out Katsuyori Shibata, and it turned out this masked man was Brian Keith, the one who didn't qualify to be in this match. Apparently, he is now under the Learning Tree. Which, good, because there's definite potential in this guy. But since he took out Shibata, that allowed Chris Jericho to get the win and retain his For the World Championship. Like I said, this match was crazy but entertaining. 4 out of 5. Yeah! Then an IWGP World Championship Eliminator match. From my understanding, I could have sworn it was originally announced as for the IWGP Championship, but I guess they had some issues with New Japan Pro Wrestling and it became an Eliminator match. Whatever. Konosuke Takeshita versus Jon Moxley. It was pretty good. Obviously, there was good back and forth, and Takeshita was working the arm of Jon Moxley throughout the match. The issue was just the fact that this was only an Eliminator match. If what I hear is true, I get it. They wanted it to be for the championship, but New Japan Pro Wrestling stepped in and said, no, you're not just going to defend our title willy-nilly. And because of that, they didn't want to cancel the match, so it just became an Eliminator. Hopefully learn from this and don't advertise that, because an Eliminator match is something that should be on Dynamite or Collision, not a pay-per-view. I'm sorry, but it being an Eliminator just took a lot of the steam out of it, no matter what they did. But like I said, it was pretty good. Of course, these two had a great match. And after a Death Rider, Jon Moxley got the pin and the win, so Takeshita does not get a shot at his IWGP World Championship. I wouldn't say it was fantastic, and like I said, the steam got kind of taken out of it after it became Eliminator, but I would still easily give it this a 3 out of 5. Yeah! Then, in my opinion, match of the night. A barbed wire steel cage match. Malachi Black versus Adam Copeland for the TNT Championship. Of course, there's barbed wire, so that guarantees
there will be blood.
And there was plenty of it from both of them. This match was brutal. Because, of course, not only was it enough that there was a cage with barbed wire, but there had to be weapons, like a barbed wire bat. So much barbed wire. And, of course, at some point, Adam and Malachi Black got out of the cage, but this is AEW. Getting out of the cage means nothing. The pin can only happen inside the cage. So the House of Black came out, did a little bit of swerve, like they made us think that they were joining Adam Copeland when it turned out they were just there to beat up Adam Copeland. And just as they were about to take out Adam Copeland brutally, Adam Copeland got some backup with Gangrel. And not only did this mean that House of Black was no longer an issue to Adam Copeland, but he was able to wrap barbed wire around himself, get the spear, and if that was not enough, wraps barbed wire around the face of Malachi Black while he puts him in a crossface until he passes out. Meaning, the winner is Adam Copeland retaining his TNT Championship. Like I said, this match was so brutal, bloody, and awesome. 5 out of 5. Yee! And then the first in the triple main event. Which I kind of felt the last one should have been one of those main events. But okay. For the TBS Championship, Mercedes Moné makes her debut, challenging Willow Nightingale. Before this match even got signed, the drama was there, as the first time Willow Nightingale and Mercedes Moné met, it was to crown the inaugural NJPW Strong Openweight Women's Championship. And not only did Willow Nightingale beat Mercedes Moné, somebody who's a big name in wrestling, but injured her to the point that she needed to be helped out of the ring, and she was out of wrestling for almost a year. As far as this match, it was really good, but I would not say it was as good as their last one. At one point, Chris Statlander got pushed by Mercedes Moné, and her and Stokely Hathaway were complaining to the referee about this, as Willow Nightingale had gotten the doctor bomb onto Mercedes Moné and was going to pin her. So they actually cost her because the referee was distracted instead of making the count. Moné was then able to get the moneymaker onto Willow Nightingale, get the pin, the win, and become the new TBS champion in her debut. Which again, I like because she's such a big name. I figured they were going to immediately push her to the World Championship when she came along, but they're going to make her start at the mid-card. Which, good. It'll add some prestige to that title. But what was even more exciting was after the match. After the match, Stokely Hathaway is getting in Willow's face saying it's her fault that she lost, and Chris Statlander pushes him for that. But it turned out to be a ruse as Chris Statlander turns on Willow Nightingale. And it turned out that both Stokely Hathaway and Chris Statlander intentionally cost her this match. Which I'm happy about just because Chris Statlander has gotten stagnant. She's one of my favorite women wrestlers right now. She needed something to give her a little edge. Here we go. I will give this one a 4 out of 5. Then the second of this triple main event, for the AEW World Championship, Christian Cage challenges champion Swerve Strickland. I mean, it was good. I mean, there was plenty of drama with the patriarchy getting involved, getting banned, and that not really stopping them as, you know, Nick Wayne came out and got involved even though he wasn't supposed to be there anymore. The match itself, it told a story. The story building up to the match was there. My only big problem with this match was a problem I had from the moment it was announced. From the moment it was announced, it felt like, okay, we got to give somebody to feed to Swerve Strickland. As much as I like Christian Cage, and I think he's definitely a competitor for the world title, I don't think anybody believed he was going to win the title. This was kind of like, we got a new babyface champion, we got to feed strong competitors to him. That was the entire build-up of this. So going into it, I wasn't that into it. Especially like I was into him and Samoa Joe, or his previous rivalry, him and Hangman Page. Big, huge blood feuds. This was just like something they threw together. They were like, yeah, we can make this a main event. And it went exactly how we thought it would. The patriarchy got involved, but it didn't matter as Swerve Strickland was able to get the Swerve Stomp, followed by the house call, get the pin, and retain his AEW World Championship. Like I said, it was good. There was nothing wrong with the match in and of itself. I just wasn't as invested in this as I was with his other big matches. Hopefully the next one will have much more build-up and more drama behind it, make me really invested. But I'd still easily give this one a good, solid 3 out of 5. Yeah! And then the actual main event, because I will say this, I always love it when they go double main event, or now in this case, triple main event. The main event is the one that comes on last. Get over it. But Anarchy in the Arena. As the Elite, Jack Perry, Kazuchika Okada, and the Young Bucks take on Team AEW, FTR, Bryan Danielson, and Darby Allin. Originally it was supposed to be Eddie Kingston, but he got injured. Here's the thing. This match would have been good. Could have been good. Started out good. But it got too ridiculous. I mean, in the beginning it was very entertaining as they were sitting there still playing entrance music in the beginning of the match, and they kept taking the mic and changing the entrance music that was playing. It was funny. And again, the match was brutal. It was going all over the place like we expect for Anarchy in the Arena. But then consecutive things that made me go like, oh, bullshit. Like, at some point out in the back, Jack Perry gets in a bus and runs over Darby Allin. I know that in real life, Darby Allin got hit by a bus and miraculously he survived. He just ended up with an ankle injury. Good. Glad, but there's a reason that's miraculous, because that was the 1 out of 10 times. 9 out of 10 times you get hit by a bus, well, that's it. But we're supposed to believe that he was laying on the ground, surrounded by cardboard boxes, got ran over, and he's okay. That might not have killed the match for me, except for then a few minutes later, Darby Allin comes out with the flamethrower he had when he first announced that he was going to be in the match. Which, okay, whatever. But actually lights Jack Perry on fire, who was covered in what they were trying to pass off as water from being dunked outside, but he wouldn't have still been wet, so obviously that was fire retardant. Which, of course, I don't want him to actually die, but he gets lit on fire. And they immediately put him out, and that's great. I don't want somebody to really, really get hurt. But then again, I don't really want somebody to get lit on fire in an actual real match. I really do feel like they need to start getting some limits put on them, because escalating it that high, somebody is going to get killed in the middle of a pay-per-view. And let's just make this clear. To my knowledge, I can only think of one other time somebody died in a pay-per-view, and it's not something we look back on fondly. WWE likes to bring back old pay-per-view names. There's a reason they've never brought back Over the Edge. So we can tone it down a bit. Let's pull back before somebody actually gets killed. But then they got it back in the ring. The Young Bucks hung up Darby Allin by his ankles, hit him with spiked shoes super kicks, and then let him down, and Jack Perry was able to get the win. But again, like I said, with the being lit on fire, the bus incident, this got too ridiculous. I'll get more into that in a minute, but as far as the match itself, because of how ridiculous it was, it took away all the entertainment value. I just wanted it to be over when it was done, and I would only give this one a 2 out of 5. Yeah. So AEW Double or Nothing 2024, overall, it was a good show, but it ended very weak. The show had a couple of 5s, plenty of 4s, a few 3s, and only 1 2, and usually 1 2 wouldn't affect me so much, except that 2 was the main event. But even then, one bad match shouldn't affect me that bad, but it got too ridiculous. Let's put aside the fact that, again, part of me is like, okay, you really need to start pulling back before somebody really gets killed. And I hate to be that guy, but you know what? It's a fact at this point. You need to pull back. We don't want somebody to die on camera. I don't want to watch somebody die. Especially a pay-per-view. Nobody wants to pay to see somebody die. And if they do, then you're sick. But this is wrestling. We want it to look like you're killing somebody, but not actually killing somebody. If they don't knock it off with these stunts, someone's going to get seriously hurt or die. But even then, we expected some crazy high-risk stuff to be in that match, but these things got so ridiculous that it makes it hard to suspend disbelief. It's like watching the movies Crank and Crank 2. Crank was a little out there. Definitely some ridiculous stuff in there, but nothing so ridiculous that it made you go like, okay, well, I can't get into this anymore. Crank 2 was so freaking ridiculous that halfway through the movie, you're just sitting there like waiting for it to be done. That's how this Anarchy in the Arena felt to me. I was just waiting for it to be done. I was just like, this is ridiculous, this is stupid. I need to know who wins, so let's just get to the end already. Now, don't get me wrong. Yes, I know that wrestling is staged. I know it's not real. But again, there's a suspend disbelief kind of thing. And I can't suspend disbelief when I'm sitting there going like, really? Lighting him on fire? That shouldn't be something that makes you go like, ooh, the match is getting intense. It should be something somebody gets arrested for. And the match before it, though, didn't help because, again, the match itself, the build-up was fine, except that you knew it was just being built up to give him a feeder opponent. Kind of like any babyface in their first few championship matches, they kind of just give them some monster to feed them to. So honestly, with that being said, like the rest of the matches, none of them were bad, except the last one. They were all pretty good, some of them great, but because of how it ended the last 2 matches, I can't believe I'm doing this. Because looking back, I don't remember an AEW event that I didn't give at least a 4. But I can't even give it that one. I will say with the other matches, how exciting they were. Like the barbed wire steel cage match was so awesome. The opening match with Will Ospreay was so freaking awesome. Even those to be in there, but then you to end it like the way you did. I can't give it a 4, but a solid 3 out of 5. So there you have it. That's my wrestling review this week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit the little bell so you get notifications when I post new videos, and leave a comment. Tell me what you thought of AEW 2024. Tell me if you disagree with me and you felt the ridiculousness in that match was warranted. Love you guys.